WA2MQK listening on frequency.
KZ4 Bravo.
WB4ARK.
WB4NKL. MEC.
Okay, somebody's playing around with sideband. I think this is an AM net, so if you can get on AM, please give us a call. This is N4LQ. I'll listen one more time.
KZ4 Bravo.
Oh, well. Okay, we've got the following check-ins. First, WA4LLR, and then KZ4B, K4GDN, then WB4ARK, and WB4NKL, and W4MEC. Any more check-ins?
I don't know. The trouble is, you know, if you don't do something about it, Buzz, then your toes get screwed up on you one way or another. You know, they get too. Oh, that's interesting.
And the Ned, WA4LLR, you're right.
44 degrees. 44 degrees and mainly clear. Running the Johnson 500 this morning, receiving on the 183D. Your calling sounds good, Steve. Everybody's coming in quite well. Band's quietening down. Earlier there was a lot of static from thunderstorm activity in the Gulf, off the coast, and out Kansas, Nebraska, Ohio area. But things are quietening down now, which is good. So, certainly can feel fall in the air. They're saying we're going to have another warm-up, but right now it feels like October. So down to you, John. Bet you're on the 150 this morning, and it sounds good. KZ4B, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR in the group, KZ4B, fine business, Dave. Conditions seem to be quite good this morning. My noise level is way down at S5, where historically it's been running S9 to 5 or 10 over. I added, even though my next door neighbor is in Hawaii, I added a few more, about 8 ferrite beads on the circuit feeding the breaker that goes to the power grid, and I think I've improved things about as much as they can be improved. Also, I discovered that the switching power supply that feeds my BHI DSP noise canceling speaker was itself supplying some noise. It was not that strong, but it was there. And so this morning, all I'm hearing are some very faint static crashes, I guess, from the Gulf, and otherwise it's quiet as a mouse. I'm enjoying this. I hope this is not some aberration that can't be explained. I hope this is reality from here on out. So, George, it's coming your way. K4GDN in the group, KZ4B, over.
KZ4B and the group, K4GDN. Maybe I need to turn up the audio just a little bit. Doesn't look like I'm modulated too well. Yes. Anyway, the modulation monitor, seems like the audio is a little bit low here, but the meter's kicking up. Anyway, we're running the Viking 2 and the HRO 5A1, the Fritz Memorial Station, and I would like to throw something out. When I got the Viking 2 after Fritz passed on, it still had his crystal that he used in it. He never used it with a VFO, and the crystal is a sealed type. It's a it's marked 3715. However, Fritz was typically about a KC high when he was on with it. And so I tried the crystal, and the same was true when I had it in the Viking 2. When I put it in my Ranger 2, it ran right at 3715. And I thought that was a little weird. But I just wonder if anybody's had serious experience, similar experience with crystals like that before. Everybody's coming in here well. The band is in good shape this morning. It's about 60 degrees, and we're less cold here in Myrtle Beach. And I don't think we're going to get any rain for a while. But I believe it is going to warm up a little bit here in not too distant future. Anyway, I would appreciate a comment on the audio also. So with that, it's going to Buddy, WB4ARK, K4GDN.
K4GDN, WB4ARK, okay, George. Very good copy on your signal, and your audio sounds about normal. There is some sideband noise off to one side. I haven't tuned my receiver in a while, but I'm sure it's pretty stable. Everybody else is coming in on the same, at the same frequency on the receiver, so we got very good weather conditions here. I think it's 52 degrees and clear skies as it was yesterday. No rain, and looks like we're going to be free of rain for several days to come. We got to get the yard cut and a few other things done, but I think the pressing thing right now, which I will go into on the next round, is a order from Newark Electronics, and I'm having some problems which I've never had with them, and well, I've never had this, well, I have had issues with components over the years, but not like this. So we'll see what transpires. I ordered a power supply, a constant current, constant voltage supply, and it does not work correctly. So we're in the midst of trying to get it returned, so we will go into that on the next round. So over to Cliff. WB4NKL, WB4ARK.
Yeah, WB4ARK, it's WB4NKL. Good morning to everybody. Got 50 degrees here and enjoying these cool days, and man, they're not predicting any rain here either for the next 10 days. I don't think I've seen any rain in the forecast, so enjoying that because it's been a wet summer. Maybe this yard mowing will slow down some. George, I've noticed the same thing on the Viking too. Crystals are usually where they're at on one rig will be different in that Viking too. It's got a little different oscillator circuit. I remember looking at it. I don't remember what the differences are now, but I know it was different from some of the other rigs, and I run into the same thing with the crystals. So I think that's probably normal for that unit. And you've got plenty of audio. It's here coming through fine here into Tennessee today. So Charlie, hear that dynamotor whine? Go ahead, W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL and the group W4MEC. Yep, whining away there. It's about 4 feet away, pretty loud. My one supply has got a muffler on it, but my other one, the dynamotor itself, there's no way to muffle that. So, anywho, good morning, fellas. Everybody's booming in here. Buddy, I had to turn the RF gain to 0 and the audio gain down to about 2, or I was going deaf from your signal. Golly, you got strong. A little bit of QSB, but when it went to the positive side, boy, you about melted the receiver here. Let's see, about 44, 45 degrees here, clear, nice weather outside. I'm dying to hear the story about Newark. I hope they're not falling apart, or whether they got bought by somebody. I had a machine tool supply company. It was absolutely great right there in Atlanta, and they got bought up by MSM or MTM, or I don't know who the company was, but everything went south after that. So I just had to quit dealing with them, and finally they changed their logo to the primary company and shut them down. And I forgot what the JNS or something. I don't know what the place was down there, but anyway, they had great prices and great service, and if anything went wrong, like if you had a bad end mill or something like that, they take it right back and swap it, you know. So, and I hope that's not happening in Newark. So, but anyway, and yeah, you figured it out. Kind of hard to hide it, but running a ARC 13, receiving on a HQ129X, and through a what you call it there, in-fed halfway. And again, everybody's coming in good. George, excellent signal this morning. Back to you, Steve, N4LQ, W4 MEC.
All right, W4MEC. This is N4LQ. Do we have any more check-ins for the net? Call now. Nothing heard. All right, well, I was sitting here looking at the schematic for the Viking 2. One thing I can see is that neither side of the crystal is at ground potential. It's floating, which is a little different. Usually the one side of the crystal goes to ground, but this has the crystal between the control and the screen. Let's see, what is that? Screen grid? That is kind of unusual. 6AU6 tube. You could probably modify that real quick. Anyway, the audio's good, George. No problem at all, and the frequency looks right on to me. So you got it nailed. KZ4B, sounds like you've made some progress there. If it's quiet as a mouse, you're doing good. The sun is out too, so that's a good sign that the noise suppression has worked. And funny about your noise canceling speaker was causing the noise, and you got that fixed too. So you probably don't even need it. Buddy, I'm anxious to hear about your problems with Newark, and that's kind of sad. I hope that's not a widespread problem. I've had pretty good results with them in the past, but I don't order a whole lot of stuff. Seems like lately I've been getting a lot of stuff off Amazon. They got every electronic parts you can imagine. And I haven't had any trouble with that Chinese stuff, but some people have, I guess. People claim the capacitors are not as good as what you get from big name companies like TDK and Sprague and what have you. But I don't know. It's hard to, I would say most stuff like that is also made in China. So anyway, had a good night on 160 last night. Not too many showed up, but we did have a good chat. Boone was there, and Bob, and it was interesting. We got into a discussion about hot dog cookers, the old-fashioned, the ones that were out in the 60s or 50s or 60s that passed a line cord current through the hot dog and cooked it. And I remember having one of those when I was young, and I never thought anything about it. Boone said his dad took it away from him because he was an electrician and was concerned about somebody electrocuting themselves on it. I think there was a switch on the lid, and you close the lid and it sent 110 through the hot dog. But I always thought the hot dogs had a rather metallic taste, and I didn't know if that was from the metal of the probes or just from electricity going through the hot dog that would cause that. And I saw on eBay there's a whole bunch of them. There's dozens and dozens of those things for sale. Some of them are new, brand new in the box. And there's a Hamilton Beach that uses what appears to be a stainless steel probes. The ones on ours were some sort of cast metal of some sort, but I'm just wondering if the probes were a different metal, like iron or something, that it would affect the taste of the hot dog. Who knows? WA4LLR to take it. It's N4LQ.
Okay, N4LQ, WA4LLR. That's interesting. We never had one of the high voltage cookers or high current cookers, but most of the hot dogs we got when I was growing up were boiled or done on a grill. I had to chuckle. You know, back in the 50s and 60s, OSHA would die over what was common in those days, and even the toys that we had. I mean, you know, oh my goodness, we had a lot of deadly toys back in those days. It's I don't, you know, we all survived. We've got so many safety features now and so many rules and regulations. You wonder how anybody gets hurt. Back in the day, you know, we didn't have seat belts and shoulder straps and car seats for babies and all the safety headgear for bicycles and on and on and on, and yet somehow we survived. And even the hazardous toys, most of us got through without being permanently injured. Oh my goodness. Well, let's see here. John, good deal on the noise reduction. We pray it's not an anomaly, that it's the real deal. And George, you got strong audio on that Viking too. It's punching through just fine. And buddy, like everybody else, I hope Newark's not gone south, and hope you get the power supply issue squared away. And Charlie, sounds like you're almost as cool as we are out there. We're at 44. I think you said you were around 45. And I know Cliff and some are going down to the Dandridge Ham Fest this weekend. I hope everybody has a good time down there. I hope they have a good turnout. Weather should be really good. Well, let's see here. Space weather is pretty calm today. Sunspot number is 93. Solar flux index is 124 and the K is 2.67. A few items from this day in history. On this day in 1956, Elvis Presley made his debut appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. On this day in 1942, a Japanese seaplane dropped incendiary bombs near Brookings, Oregon, in the first ever aerial bombing of the U.S. mainland. They were designed to start a forest fire, but they did very little damage. On this day in 1776, Congress renamed the nation the United States of America. On this day in 1850, California became the 31st state. This one I got a chuckle out of. On this day in 2002, 72-year-old Buzz Aldrin punched a no lunar landing conspiracy theorist in the face when the guy accosted him outside of his hotel and started calling him a thief and a liar and a coward. And Aldrin punched the daylights out of him. And the guy tried to get him for assault, and the courts ruled that he was the instigator and threw it out. So there you go. KZ4B, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR and the group KZ4B, fine business, Dave. Man, conditions, it helps to be able to hear, but conditions today seem to be quite good. Speaking about the potential problem with Newark Electronics, I can't remember who it is, but one of the electronics outfits that I used to deal with now demands a minimum charge, and they won't take a credit card. It's just all kinds of screwed upness. So I've been dealing strictly with DigiKey and have had very good results. They don't seem to have much of a minimum, and they're the winner so far. I hope nothing happens to them. Shifting gears on the crystal situation, my grandfather, W4SNI, used to grind crystals and was buddies with some of the, because he would contact them with questions with several of the crystal companies, and I asked him way back in antiquity, I said, why is it that the FT243 crystals, which are supposed to be very stable and highly accurate, were only guaranteed plus or minus 1 kilohertz? And that seemed to be fairly universal. And his answer was, what the crystal guys told him is that different crystal oscillators had different values of shunt capacity, and that will change the frequency of the crystal. And the oscillating frequency, and since they had no control over that, they couldn't guarantee it any tighter than they did. So that might have something to do with it, you know. In one thing it's going to be at one frequency, and in another transmitter it's another frequency. So I thought I'd pass that on. That's what the crystal manufacturers told him. And Charlie, I can definitely hear your dynamotor. I believe you said you've got a non-dynamotor power supply. If you don't, then I have some suggestions. I've got a power supply for my ART13. The ART13's on the fritz, but the power supply that I built works quite nicely, and I did it without any chokes, and which are hard to come by these days, and just using capacitors. So I'll be glad to share my secrets, and which may or may not be secrets, as to building a ART13 power supply that is chokeless, and therefore it's light, relatively speaking, to a typical ART13 power supply. So George, you're booming in, you're coming in about, and again, part of this is not being deaf, but you're coming in over, I'd say 5 to 10 over 9 this morning, so the band must be long. K4GDN in the group, and I'm on the T150. GDN, this is KZ4B, over.
4B in the group's K4GDN. And thanks for the reports on the audio there. We are on the infrared halfway. And speaking of the oscillators, the Ranger 2 is what they call a hot cathode oscillator. They're using a 6CL6. It's also the buffer when you're using the VFO. And in the Viking 2, this is a pure circuit, but they're using a 6AU6 as an electron-coupled oscillator. The oscillator section uses a control grid, and then the screen grid as a plate, and the suppressor grid would be considered the control grid for a buffer amplifier on that oscillator. So it is definitely a different oscillator circuit. And like I say, it's electron coupled. And I can understand why different capacitance in the circuit would make the crystal run a little bit different. I was kind of surprised that it was that much. And it's interesting that the Viking 2 seems to have that reputation. Excuse me, I haven't checked that with the other crystals I have in it. I'm running the Viking with a Heathkit VF1 VFO. But like I say, Fritz always ran it with that crystal, and he was always a little bit high. And never heard him make any comments as to why that was the case. The band does seem to be in good shape here this morning. Everybody's coming in well. Like I say, I'm receiving on an HR05A1, and that's basically, as I say, the Fritz Memorial Station, because as long as I can remember, Fritz used this transmitter and an HR05 in Studio B, which was the AM studio. So with that, we'll pass it on to Buddy, WB4O. And speaking of purchasing components, I usually deal with Mauser. I really haven't had any trouble. I haven't really bought any equipment from anybody in quite a while. But that's the case where I buy parts, I go to Mauser. So Buddy, coming to you, WB4ARK in the group, K4GDN.
K4GDN, WB4ARK. Okay, George, very good copy on your signal. I guess you're probably the furthest from me, and certainly from the people in the mountains. Well, the story starts, I needed a power supply to power our lights in our track circuit at Duncan's house, so needed a little higher current rating, and so he found one at Newark, and so I checked it out and ordered it, and it was a 10 amp supply, 30 volts, constant current, constant voltage, and it was not a switching supply as such. It's pretty heavy. It's probably weighs about 14, 15 pounds. And so it came in, and I checked it out, and I didn't like what I saw. I could not get higher than 5 amps. At one point, maybe 3 or 4 amps, 5 volts at 1.3 amps. So I, with a particular load, so I redid my load, and I got the same issue, low voltage and low current, and I could not get it to go any higher. So I contacted Newark and gave them a call, and the first thing when you call Newark, you get an Indian speaking person. Sounds like they're Indian. I'm not going to be stereotype here. I don't know for sure, but they sound Indian, and they said, well, it will be 24 to 48 hours before they would know anything. So they took the information, and they said they would get back to me. So after about 4 days, I called back and got another person and told them what was going on, and suggested I wanted to return the supply for full credit. They said, well, we can't do that. We have to send this to we have to contact our supplier, and it'll take 3 to 4 weeks. And they will be the deciding factor whether they will repair it or refund the money for the unit. So I said, well, I need a supply, and I don't want to wait 3 to 4 weeks. So why can't we handle this right now? And they said, well, we have to go through, this is the way we do it here. And I said, well, it came from your Farnell group in the UK. So why do you have to wait 3 to 4 weeks to contact your supplier? Well, I got the same message again, same runaround. So I said, okay. I hung up the phone, and I sent them an email.
I let them know that I was very displeased with the way things were going, and I had always had good rapport with their company and returning items, which were very few in the past, and I had been a customer for 60 years. But that might change depending on the outcome of this order. And so I sent them the email. So I got another email later that day saying, well, we're sorry you're having so much difficulty with this order, but kind of like it is what it is, and we will have to go by our basic operation here, and it will be 3 to 4 weeks. So I asked for when I called in to the local number, I asked for a person in the United States to speak to. So the lady says, well, hold on a minute, and she gives me to another Indian-speaking person, which I presume to be in somewhere other than the United States. So that's the situation with Newark. You got to be careful what you order, and that's the way it goes with them. Now, I had an issue with Mauser here a couple of months ago, and somebody had placed an order through my account with Mauser for a Fluke meter, and had it sent to somewhere in Easley, South Carolina. So wasn't my name and wasn't my address, but it did take a couple of weeks to get that resolved because they credited my account with the amount for the meter. And I said, no, I don't want a credit to my account. It might be several, a year or two before I make an order for several hundreds of dollars. And so I would like to get the money deposited to my account, my checking account. So they did that, and everything was fine. But that's the way it goes with some of these companies. So over to Cliff, WB4NKL, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK, it's WB4NKL. Wow, that's having quite a time there, buddy. I hope you get them straightened out. But it seems like a lot of the companies are going that route, outsourcing their personnel. I guess they can get somebody in a different country to do it a lot cheaper, and they can hire somebody here in the States. I was thinking Newark had some local facilities. I seem like I've seen those before. I brought up those schematics again on the Viking 2 and the Ranger, and I looked at that before, but what the difference is the Viking 2 is it's got the crystal and series resonance mode, and the Ranger's in parallel. So that's the reason there's quite a bit of difference, is the different mode of operation on the crystal. It's makes quite a bit of difference in the frequency. Like Steve said, probably could modify the circuit, but most people run VFOs anyway, I guess. Let's see. I'm going down to Dandridge. It's the Morristown Ham Fest they're having in Dandridge, and They've had it for at least 1 year, maybe a couple of years at this location, but this will be my first time attending it. It seemed like they had a conflict with another location last year. But go check it out and see how it is. And the hot dogs cooker, Steve, I never did have a commercial one, but I remember doing that when I was a kid. All I had was a line cord and some test leads, so that probably wouldn't be too kosher nowadays. But as long as you didn't touch anything, you know, it was fine. It was a lot of fun with a homemade cooker. So we'll send it on. Go ahead, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
WB4NKL and the group W4MEC. Real good. Wow, buddy, that's a nightmare. If I remember right, when they, in the bill that they sent you, the receipt for it, I think there's a woman's name on there. She writes you this letter. I'm trying to remember now. She writes a letter, you know, a new chatty style letter. Said, thank you for using Newark. Our country company is great, blah, blah, blah. And there's her name on there. And I would say try Google searching her name and Newark and see if you can find her email. That'd be one thing. And if you want to make a drive, Chesney has a Newark will call office where you can pick stuff up. At least it did. I mean, I've done will calls in Chesney before. It's been a while, but they used to have a place where you could pick up. I would look into maybe driving to Chesney and say, replace this, please, or do something. Maybe talking to a real person would help. But yeah, that's a nightmare. Sad to hear that. And maybe now that India is on the short list for with China and Russia, maybe everybody will move back to another country. So, let's see. Went to the fair last night up in at the Ag Center here in Asheville, or Buncombe County, I should say, and had a good time there. We always go once a year to go to the McBride's to get a Polish sausage dog. So, so that's what we did. And went to look at all the crafts and things like that. And they have a whole section for nothing but Legos. Now, you know, you mentioned toys there, Dave, and some of the things we had as a kid. You know, probably they would outlaw the erector set that came with an AC motor, all kinds of gears and all kinds of metal, where you could make various spinning weapons of death run by the AC cord. You know? So they would probably ban the whole erector set, but I remember making some pretty wacky things there. You learned about gear ratios with that motor, and it was a pretty powerful little motor, and it would get some things a swinging. Anyway, but people make stuff out of Legos. Now, I was telling my wife it bugs me because Legos, it's not like a model. You know, you get a model, you got to put it together, you paint it and all that, a little skill involved. But a Legos, you follow directions and you put something together, and people would get a blue ribbon for putting a Lego kit together. You know, I'm going, you know, I don't know about that. What skill is involved with there? And that's adults doing that too. And little kids would put little things together like a car, and they get a blue ribbon. You know, I said, okay, they can read a pictogram type direction there. You know, where there's no words, it's just, you know, matching a block on a book to a block in a pile of blocks. You know, maybe that's a plus, I don't know. We had that hot dog cooker also, and the main thing I remember about them is blowing the hot dog up. I don't remember ever eating a hot dog that wasn't split from end to end, or one end was exploded on it, you know, and you had to put it back together. So my dad had one of those things, but, and you know, someone mentioned the metal of the probe, and I remember that too. It wasn't like a clear piece of copper or stainless steel. It was like it was plated with something, like they used zinc and they chrome plated it or something like that. It was kind of bumpy. I remember that. But the other thing my dad loves was the battery charger for alkaline D and C cells that plugged in the wall socket, and that was about on par with that hot dog cooker, because I opened it up, of course. There was a silicon diode in there, a resistor, a light bulb, all in series, and then you put the batteries in. And you know, a couple circuits there, and you could put in two C's or two D's, or you could fill it full of C's and D's, and it actually worked. And it would recharge those alkaline or carbon batteries pretty darn good. And he put them in his radio and listened to his radio, and I can't remember if it didn't have a timer. All it had was a big red light that lit the whole time. But anyway, I don't know what happened to that, but I'm sure that was illegal now too. So, and somebody in a business not taking credit card on the internet? Well, I haven't heard of that. I've heard of giving you a discount for PayPal. I mean, using PayPal or doing a money order, but never refusing to take a credit card. They wouldn't last long in today's economy, I think. So, anyway, I got any crystals? Yep, I got on my Lafayette HA460. I've got several 50.4 crystals, and every one of them comes up on a different frequency. But I can plug that into my Amico TX62 or plug the crystal into the Gonset. And I've got one that's 2 kC off in the 460, and it's dead on in the Amico. And so it's the rig, I think, and the loading, like several people have mentioned. Back to you, Steve, N4LQ, W4MEC.
All right. Do we have any late check-ins? This is N4LQ. Well, very good. Interesting round about Newark and Indians. And yeah, maybe that stuff will come back on shore, and we can start dealing with real American spammers instead of Indian spammers. At least we can understand them. I get spam calls all the time, and it seems like they're usually of the Indian accent, and some of them I just cannot understand. I just hang up on anybody that comes on the phone with an Indian accent. I just hang up on them because I figure they're up to no good, and that's something. How's that for stereotyping? Well, let's see here. The hot dog cooker, I wondered if you rectified the power run DC through the hot dog, what effect that would have, and also RF, and maybe an RF. Maybe we could just load up the old AL82 here to it and put about 1 kilowatt into it. Might have to tune it. Well, we could use the antenna analyzer to figure out what the resonant frequency of a hot dog is, and adjust our frequency accordingly, and that would cook it. Of course, it would probably drift in frequency as it cooks, but RF cooking has been around for a long time. I don't know about actually passing RF through it, but there's a lot of possibilities. But yeah, I mean, you could put your fingers across those probes, but you'd have to close the lid first. So I don't know which would hurt worse, the lid on the fingers or the electrocution. Customer service problems dealing with Amazon are non-existent. And I send stuff back all the time I don't like, or they don't fit, or and I never heard a complaint. They just take it back, and a lot of big companies are using Amazon as their order source. And I don't know about Newark, but I see a lot of them show up on Amazon as a third party, and still Amazon stands behind the order. And there's a place on there, you just click on return. Well, you don't have to pay any shipping. And nowadays on eBay also, they send you a shipping label by email, and you get it real quick, print it out, slap it on the box, and send it back. And a lot of these hams that advertise their stuff on eBay, they'll say not returnable, as is, for parts only, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact is, eBay honors the customer, and the seller has to allow you to send it back, or just give you a refund, either one. But either way, you're going to get your money back. The only problem I ever ran into on eBay is with something I sold to a guy in Japan, and the guy didn't like it because the pilot light was burned out. He said it cost him $500 to change it. He wanted $500, and we're talking about. I mean, I was pretty much going to break even on the thing, and eBay said, well, you can have it shipped back, but you have to arrange for shipping. Well, I had no way of doing that in Japan, so I have banned Japan from anything I sell on eBay. Okay, and DigiKey should be a better company. It was started by two hams that had an article in QST called the DigiKeyer, and just a simple little CW keyer, and that went over real well, and they started selling part kits for that thing, and the next thing you know, they're a worldwide mega company. So with that, we got time for a 73 round, and I'll start out by turning it over to Dave. WA4LLR, N4LQ.
N4LQ, WA4LLR. Well, I've got to where I check Amazon first. I don't care what it is, I'm going to check Amazon because of the very things you're talking about, Steve. One is if it's not what it's supposed to be, they'll take it back, basically no questions asked. The other thing is they'll get it to me in 1 to 2 days, and no shipping. So, whether or not I like to support Jeff Bezos or not, he's got the best outfit going as far as ordering something, so I check them first. And yeah, I'm kind of like you too. If somebody calls and they've got an East Indian accent, it's pretty much no habla inglés. So hanging up. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and say 7-3 and get out of here. Hope everybody has a great week. Lord willing, we'll look for you on Thursday morning. So, Steve, thanks for calling. 7-3, God bless, and we'll catch you a little later. KZ4B, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR and the group KZ4B, fine business, Dave. Thanks for calling the net, Steve. And I have not heard any noise from my next door neighbor's charger, and I left him instructions to leave it set up the old way, and he replied okay. So if it was gonna make an RFI, you would think I would hear it. Unless the filtering is working. So I'm a happy camper so far, that's for sure. And George, you are really booming in today. It's nice. And a little bit of QS Baker, but conditions are quite good today. And it's always nice not to be deaf. So take it away, George. K4GDN in the group, KZ4B, clear but listening.
KZ4B in the groups, K4GDN. Yeah, everybody's coming in well here today. And yeah, good band conditions. And Steve, thanks for calling the net, really appreciate it. And I haven't had any dealings with Newark, but everything I've done with Bowser so far has really been pretty good. So I won't complain. Anyway, again, thanks for calling the net. 73, I'll listen to the end. And hopefully I'll get in here on Thursday. So, buddy, WB4ARK, K4GDN.
K4GDN, WB4ARK. Okay, George. And everybody else on the net, everybody's signal is quite strong today. No problems copying anybody. Well, this product came from Farnell in the UK, so that might have something to do with the issue. There's a different person that signed the packing list, whereas Stuart Sharp signed the packing list from orders that came from Gaffney, which is where their main supply facility is located. I've been over there a number of times to pick up a will call order, and the person's name on the UK packing list is ELISATEUFEL. Not sure about that, but anyhow, probably difficult to get in contact with that person without having to call overseas. So anyhow, we will wait and see what transpires here, but the product is dead and does not function properly, so I might pack it up. I still have the original box and the packing material, and take it back over to Gaffney and hand it off to them and say, here, it's yours, I have no use for it, and let it go at that, and just chalk it up as to bad experience and not ever order anything from Newark again. So that's our alternative here. And so that's the end of that story until something else occurs positive. Well, I'm going to say 73. And thanks, Steve, for calling the net. And we will hopefully be around for Thursday. WB4NKL. This is WB4ARK.
Yeah, WB4ARK. It's WB4NKL. Well, good luck, buddy. Hope you can get it straightened out. I'll say 73s also. Get out here and start walking. I guess it's nice these cool days, cool mornings. It's really nice. Enjoying them. 73s, and thanks for calling us, Steve. Go ahead, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL, now clear.
Okay, Cliff, W4NKL, W4MEC. Yeah, Gaffney, not Chesney. I always confuse those two. Used to go through Chesney all the time, and Gaffney was up the road there, so I could get to the same place by either going through Gaffney or going through Chesney, but Chesney was a nicer drive. John, I'm curious, if the neighbor is gone, perhaps there's minimal load on the system, so the chargers are not having to work very hard to maintain the batteries. So I wonder if that might be what's happening, and when he gets back and starts using some juice there, it might ramp up a little bit. So another thought, buddy, is to email direct to the company that made the power supply and say, look, what's going on? And maybe they'll replace it directly, and badmouth them the same way as you did Newark. And I no longer shop at Lowe's. Home Depot has got more personnel. They're nicer and they're stocked well. And I no longer go to Lowe's for anything, along the same lines of poor service and the fact that they charge you $2 to pay the bill with a check. So I quit using them completely. and give all my business to Home Depot. So if Newark's changing, I guess DigiKey, I never had any issues with Mausers either. So DigiKey is a little slower than Mauser. I found that to be true. And Mauser's about on par with Newark on delivery, but being the fact that they were right here in South Carolina, most of the time you could order something like 10 or 11 on a Tuesday and it would either be there the next day or the day after pretty quick. So, and I have to agree about buying electronic parts from Amazon. That's the first place I check, and I also look into who makes the part and whether I want to go with that or not. But you can't deny the fact that a lot of their parts are there and they get them there within a day or two. So when you need them, you got them. So anyway, thanks for running the net, Steve. I won't be here tonight. I got the gun club meeting, so maybe tomorrow night on 1864. Y'all have a good day, and we'll see you later. 7-3, N4LQ, W4MC.
Okay, real good, guys. Thanks, everybody, for checking in today. Have a great day, and tonight we'll be on 160, looking for check-ins on 1864 at 8 o'clock p.m. 73s, this N4LQ, closing the net.